but the world has changed significantly. And we were talking and trending a lot of different forecasts, just in a general way of how the world was going to move in the next decade based on food prices, et cetera. And a lot of those things are happening. And now we come down on a more the granular look under the microscope, and you can see things going out a month and certain trends as well. Remember, that's trade with 2030.com or tradelikeagenius.com, which Bob was referencing there about going over to the site, taking advantage of the specials. So one thing, you're talking about Labor Day and rates remaining and things on a status, on a status quo, if they remain the same and stable. Now, what happens if the war front breaks out in Ukraine? Because some of the feeds I'm looking at is, France possibly declaring conflict here early in this part of June on Russia. And everywhere you look, the war drums are beating super heavy that we're not getting a lot of that in the American news. So to throw away some of the debt, I mean, where does this take us if a war really breaks out? Even if it might be limited just to Europe and just with Russia. I know obviously the United States will get involved, but you got the status quo where you're talking about taking us to Labor Day with these rates and how people will perceive that. But if we get into a conflict, then what happens in your opinion? I mean, based on historical past of wars breaking out during different economic cycles.
Yeah, well, war generally is bullish for the stock market because it means government spending. The only caveat that I have for that is if Russia decides to be asymmetric. I don't know if you remember, you and I were talking on June 4th. I don't know when you're going to publish this, but on June 3rd, we had a number of stocks that opened up and went to zero, essentially. I mean, including Berkshire Hathaway. So we don't know. I think there's going to be a non-symmetrical attack. But here's the deal. If Russia goes asymmetric, it could cause us harm. Russia knows they can't go toe-to-toe with us, right? So Russia has three choices. Well, four, really. They can use proxies. They can go direct confrontation. They can go nuclear, right? Or they can go cyber non-symmetrical, right? That attack that the HIMARS did on the Russian assets in Belgorod was a game changer. Russia was gaining upper hand because they just had more massive firepower that they could just grind those cities into dust, which is ironic because if that was Israel, everybody would be in jail. But since it's Russia, nobody says anything. I mean, can you imagine all the civilians they've killed in these cities? But the attack on Belgorod, they took out 4 miles of a rail depot. It basically took out 2 or 3 months worth of Russian munitions. Okay. And, I think it was a move that had to happen because Ukraine was going to lose the war if Russia can continue just to just keep pumping artillery. Basically, it's old Soviet era strategy. And look, I was in the Marine Corps during that time, and that's the Soviet doctrine, just to basically grind you into death and then move forward a mile. Grind you to death, move forward a mile. America doesn't play that way. So we gave Ukraine the permission. Look, they're going to keep all their assets out of the conflict zone because you're not attacking. You need to change the game. Now, if Russia wants to do this, it's a big problem for them, and I noticed they attacked Ukraine's energy infrastructure. Well, the Russian energy infrastructure is at risk too. HIMARS has the ability to attack Moscow. That's why the Russians are pissed. If they hit Kiev and then Ukraine turns around and hits Moscow, then it's on like Donkey Kong, okay? And it's going to be really, really interesting to see what happens. But America and Europe, the technological superiority is there for everyone to see. The Russians have no answer to HIMARS, okay? And now we're giving them Patriot systems, and we're going to give them best ADA systems where they can't, anti-drone systems where they can't touch these HIMARS. So it's going to be really interesting. They're getting F-16s. That means the Russians can't come in with their fighters because the F-16s will take them out. It's going to be really, really, really interesting to see. But it'll be bullish unless Russia decides, look, and if I was Putin sitting back, knowing what I know, he's going to go ahead and he's going to go cyber. He's going to go terrorism. He may animate the cartels in Mexico. He may do those kind of things. And I think that's probably the what we have to watch out for, because that we're very vulnerable. We have a really tough skin, but we have really weak flesh underneath. And I think if they go after our infrastructure internally, then I think it'll be bad news for us. Sorry for the long-winded answer, but people really need to understand that nobody can beat the United States direct. Even China can't. But we're very vulnerable internally.
Yeah, and you mentioned that, it's back to the cyber thing, because you mentioned that drop, Berkshire Hathaway lost 1.2 trillion in value, and like 99.3% down. All right, so that was one glitch in the US market system. But then just a day or two prior, they had 300,000 people's bank accounts locked where they're unable to access their funds. And then part of that was in Tennessee as well. So that whole system of three different, like, I forget the participants, but they're all intertwined with settlements, et cetera. But three different, one was a clearinghouse and the other two were actual banks, and their customer funds are locked up and they are unable to access that for 6 more weeks. So, I mean, to have two events within 3 days is, the borderline what you're trying to describe there on the cyber.
Yeah, look, I think they're testing it. That's why, you just can't be an all-in bull. I think you have to be mindful here. But all things being equal, liquidity equals stock price. The M2, which is the money supply, has turned positive for 2 years. And so that's going to help the stock market. Lower rates help the stock market. None of this stuff's going to help the Main Street. It's all Wall Street. And then you're going to realize that revenues are falling. I mean, look at some of these earnings reports that are coming out. They're atrocious. Okay, so you're going to get a short-term good guy, and a long-term, then we're really going to go into recession. So always opportunities, as you know. I didn't care what it does. It's good to know what you think it's going to do, but when the market goes up or down, you can make money trading. And so it's probably one of the few places where you can be economically neutral and still do fine.